Ukrainian forces made major efforts to end the battlefield stalemate and breached Russian lines in southeastern Ukraine for a second day Monday, in what may mark the start of a long-anticipated counteroffensive after 15 months of fighting. Ukrainian and allied forces are moving across a 700-mile front stretching from Kherson Oblast in southern Ukraine east to the Donbas region and north to the border region adjacent to Russia's Belgorod Oblast. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky is enigmatic in his evening video, praising the news we have been waiting for in Bakhmut in the east, but he did not refer directly to the backlash, which he said he was ready to launch in an interview a few days ago. The update also said most of Wagner's mercenaries had left the contested town of Bakhmut, which has become one of Ukraine's main and bloodiest battlefields in recent weeks. Video footage shows Ukrainian armed forces destroying a modern Russian T-90M Proryv tank during the battle for Marinka near Donetsk. He was driving down a road in the middle of a destroyed city and was shot, but blown up by an anti-tank mine. The driver was killed, the wounded commander and gunner fled. It should be noted that the video is edited from footage recorded by the cameras on the tank itself, as well as footage taken by unmanned aerial vehicles. Another video shows fighters of the Ukrainian Armed Forces destroying the Russian invaders' 122mm 2C1 Carnation self-propelled artillery installation, camouflaged in firing positions in a forest path. People's Deputy and Frontline volunteer Yuri Mesygin announced this on his page on the social network Twitter, publishing a corresponding video edited from footage taken by the kamikaze himself and the guided unmanned aerial vehicle. Ukrainian troops launched attacks at several points along the front in the Donetsk region on Monday, pushing back Russian troops in at least two areas in what appeared to be the initial stages of a long-anticipated Ukrainian counteroffensive. Russia said on Tuesday it had thwarted another major Ukrainian offensive on Donetsk, which resulted in heavy losses. Ukraine's offensive operation appears to have made little use of the 12 Brigade strike force that Ukraine has built up in recent months with the help of Western training and equipment, suggesting that it could be an initial strike aimed at probing and expanding Russia's defenses. The attack marked the approach of a crucial point in the war. If a Ukrainian counteroffensive frees up significant territory and drives Russian troops back, it could offer hope of ending the conflict early. Failure could subject Ukraine to a protracted grueling struggle with no end in sight, and international pressure to cede territory. On the other hand, snipers from the 79th Separate Amphibious Assault Brigade of the Mykolaiv Armed Forces of Ukraine narrate and demonstrate the results of their work in the Maryinka area near Donetsk. One of the fighters destroyed two of the 6 attackers who fell into his crosshairs, disrupting the enemy's attack. The others did the same, and after that, our artillery hit the surviving invaders. But it was probably the most difficult for those fighting in the ruins of the city itself, because the distance between positions was 60 to 70 meters. Meanwhile, in its evening report, the Ukrainian General Staff made no mention of any large-scale offensive operations, nor did it indicate any deviation from the usual tempo or scope of fighting along the front, which had not changed significantly for months. Deputy Defense Minister Maliar said in Telegram Ukraine was turning to offensive actions along the front, but dismissed any suggestion that this was part of a major operation. Maliar said later on state TV that Ukrainian troops had made advances of between 200 meters and 1,600 meters around 2 villages north of the long-embarrassed eastern town of Bakhmut and 100 to 700 meters around villages to the west and south. Russian Wagner Group mercenaries seized Bakhmut last month after the war's longest fighting and surrendered their positions there to regular Russian troops. But Kiev has since been attacking Russian-held areas north and south of the city. An army video showed Russian positions being attacked, and Wagner militia leader Yevgeny Prigozhin said Ukrainian troops had recaptured part of the settlement of Berkivka, northwest of Bakhmut, calling it a disgrace. The General Staff of the Ukrainian Armed Forces reported on 6 June that Russia had lost 211,150 soldiers in Ukraine since the start of the full-scale invasion, with an estimated 800 casualties as of 5 June. Recently, Wagner's chief publicly denounced accusations made by the Russian Ministry of Defense during the war, a move that clearly seeks to undermine officials. Russia's defense ministry claims to have killed 1,500 Ukrainian soldiers in 2 days and has destroyed other military equipment. However, Prigozhin dismisses these claims of battlefield success as absurd science fiction. Russia now controls at least 18% of Ukraine's internationally recognized territory and has claimed 4 more areas of Ukraine as Russian territory after annexing Crimea in 2014. Putin sent troops into Ukraine on February 24 last year in what the Kremlin hoped would be a swift operation. But his troops suffered a series of defeats and had to retreat and regroup in swaths of the country's east. For months, tens of thousands of Russian troops have been digging along a front that stretches some 600 miles, bracing for an expected Ukrainian offensive to try to cut Russia's so-called land bridge to the Crimean Peninsula. While Ukrainian officials made no mention of any significant or widespread advances by Russian troops on its territory, they blamed overnight Moscow for blowing up the Novokakhovka Dam. An explosion at a major hydroelectric plant in eastern Ukraine has flooded the entire Kherson region and threatened the lives of thousands of civilians.